Ching ching. That's not making a chinging noise. Hang on. There we go. It's the writing show. It's the blog and article creative thingy. It's for anyone who loves words. And I don't know what I'm going to talk about tonight, but we'll see what happens, shall we? It's Guy Fawkes Night. It's bonfire night in Britain. That used to be a real thing when I was a kid. Something really, really amazing. I think it's kind of died out these days. It's been sort of drowned by sort of Americanized Halloween type stuff. Lots of focus on candies, of course, like Easter and chocolate. But when I was a kid, Guy Fawkes Night, bonfire night, the 5th of November, remember the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason and plot. This was a thing because you lit bonfires in the garden, bonfires, and you had stuff to eat, I think. But the most exciting thing was the fireworks. And I don't know about your family, if you ever lived anything like this, but my folks, you know, like a little, 6-year-old kid, 8-year-old kid, saving up pocket money. And my parents would end up having about between probably 8 and 10 fireworks, you know, each firework being about this big. And they'd get one of each, one rocket, one Roman candle. A rocket would be one, a packet of sparklers, and oh my God, a Catherine wheel. You lit it and it went like that. Every single one was sort of eked out the pleasure, you know. We'd do one, we'd build up to it, then they'd light one candle in the garden. Everybody had to stand back, you know, a huge ceremony before this tiny little firework would do its thing, as though, you know, it was going to burn the house down. And then we'd burn the guy on the bonfire, and the guy was all of this. I don't know if you have this. Say hello, by the way, if you're watching. Do you have, I mean, you won't, if you're not British or English, you won't really have this. It's to celebrate the fact that the Houses of Parliament were not burnt down in 1605 or something. And they caught this guy, literally called Guy, trying with his posse, trying to blow up the Houses of Parliament, King James or something like that. And to celebrate the fact that he was caught and he didn't blow up the Houses of Parliament, which would have been a shame because it's a rather nice building, Westminster, you know, the Palace of Westminster, Big Ben and all that. They celebrate it by burning him or his effigy, which is old clothes stuffed with newspaper. Kids go around with this thing in an old pram normally, saying penny for the guy, and they got pennies and they spent them on fireworks. That was the idea. And it's today, isn't it? Yeah, the 5th of November. Such a cool memory. Really amazing. Hi, Vespina. Nice to have you here. And hi, Thomas. Nice to have you here. Now, you guys won't have this, but in Britain, we have this tradition on the 5th of November. And it's called Fireworks Night or Bonfire Night or Guy Fawkes Night. And this is the night that we have fireworks displays, the 5th of November. Not you know, we don't have the 14th of July or whenever it is, or the 4th of July or New Year like in France. It's the 5th of November. We have a big fireworks display, and it's to celebrate the fact that this guy didn't blow up Parliament. And I was going to show you actually something about it. I was doing this research for someone I was working with, and this is the scrappiest page, but it's the most telling as well. Bonfire Night is celebrated all over the UK. Every year on 5th November, the anniversary of the gunpowder plot, Guy Fawkes is remembered, but he's not celebrated as a hero. It's his downfall that is celebrated, the fact that he didn't manage to blow up the Houses of Parliament. We light huge bonfires. A bonfire is a big fire outside. We let off fireworks. We burn an effigy, which is the old clothes stuffed with paper and stuff that'll burn, which represents this person who was called Guy Fawkes. And that's it. Celebrate the fact that Parliament and James I were not blown sky high by Guy Fawkes. And it seems to, I don't know, I don't live in Britain, I haven't done for many years, and I haven't celebrated the 5th of November with any kids in Britain since I was a kid. So I don't know if it's still a thing. I hope it is. There's something to me a bit more magical about that than about Halloween, which seems to be a bit sort of prefabricated, you know, a bit contrived, if you ask me. That's me. And they eat potatoes and stuff like that, hot potatoes in aluminium foil, fireworks displays, of course. It was so exciting as a kid, the town firework display. And there you go, you wandered around, penny for the guy. I show this to my students and tell them the story. I don't know if I can grab that actually. Yeah, it's great, it's really nice, it's a fun story. There's a very famous, in Britain anyway, a very famous rhyme, and it goes like this. Most people, they know the first line, the second line, and then that's it. But this is the whole thing. Remember, remember the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason and plot. I see no reason why gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. And that's all anyone knows. It's a bit like in Macbeth, you know, the witches thing. What is it? Bubble, bubble, toil and trouble, cauldron burn and fire bubble, or fire burn and cauldron bubble. Most of us can just about make it to bubble, bubble, toil and trouble, and then it gets kind of, you know, queasy. And it's pretty much the same for this. But there's more verses. Guy Fawkes, Guy, 'twas his intent to blow up king and parliament. 70 barrels were laid below to prove old England's overthrow. By God's mercy, he was catched with a darkened lantern and burning match. So he was on the point of blowing up the damn thing, and they got him. So holla boys, let the bells ring. Holla boys, God save the king. Holla means shout, holla. And what shall we do with him? Burn him. I'm not sure what happened to him. Maybe he was burnt. I can't. And what's this? This is another version, which I've only just seen. In fact, there's lots of versions. Look at that. Remember, remember the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason and plot. A stick or a stake for King James' sake. Will you please to give us a faggot? If you can't give us one, we'll take 2. The better for us and the worse for you. So that one, I didn't know that one. That's about, a faggot is a burning piece of wood, which is used to light bigger fires. And here's another one. By the way, let me know, well, let me know what? I don't know. Just let me know how you're doing. Let me know if you've written anything this week, if you're planning on writing anything this week, and how you're doing creatively, and especially word-wise. Any interesting word stuff that has come up for you this week, put it in the chat and let's have a chat about it. I know that Thomas, you love words, you're always intrigued by words. Despina, you're a wordsmith, a word lover. And I'm really planning on getting an old website revamped for the wonders and the craziness of English. I mean, English is just nuts. So I think I'm going to use hodgepodgeenglish.com, which is dead now. I've got hodgepodge.com and hodgepodgeenglish.com. I've been thinking about this. Which should I use? I love hodgepodge.com, the name. But I'm thinking, look, if it's English, it's about English, put English in the title. I've got the website address. It'll be crazy English, hodgepodgeenglish.com. I've got funenglishlessons.com for free English learning stuff. Well, it's kind of dead, but it'll be alive again. And I've got rainbowenglishschool.org, which will be my school, you know, for people doing English lessons online with me. So I think I'm going to do that, which means I still need a use for hodgepodge.com. And you're not giving me one. You're not helping me out. What can I use hodgepodge.com for if I use hodgepodgeenglish.com for crazy English? Guy Fawkes, Guy, stick him up on high. Hang him on a lamppost and there let him die. Guy, 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 poke him in the eye. Put him on the fire and there let him die. Burn his body from his head. Then you'll say Guy Fawkes is dead. Hip, hip, hooray. Nice rhythm to that, isn't there? Guy Fawkes, Guy, stick him up on high. Hang him on a lamppost and there let him die. Guy, 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 poke him in the eye. Put him on the fire and there let him die. Burn his body from his head. Then you'll say, Guy Fawkes is dead. Hip, hip, hooray. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. That reminds me of a scene from the Dead Poets Society. If you haven't seen the Dead Poets Society and you love words and you love amazing films, for goodness sake, see it. It's unbelievable. It's a wonderful film, The Dead Poets Society. And it reminds me of a scene from that where the kids were, I think they were running through this misty wood. Oh my God, I've got to see it again soon. I love it. Running through this wood and they were doing this rhythm. Dun, da, 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 dun, da, 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 something like that. Amazing. So if there's any film that celebrates the beauty of words, it would be Dead Poets Society. I mean, there's plenty of others, but that's the one that grabs me. I've written something in the group, says Desmond. Yeah, you have. Let me just grab one more of these. So here we go. Rumour, rumour, pump and dairy, prick his heart and burn his body and send his soul to purgatory. Usually sung by children around the burning bonfire with the guy on top. Rumour, rumour, pump and dairy. I don't know what that means. Prick his heart and burn his body. Ew. And send his soul to purgatory. That's, sung by children. It's funny because that reminds me of Ring a Ring of Roses. Do you know that? Ring a ring of roses, a pocket full of posies, a tissue, they all fall down. And it's, as a kid, I just thought it was weird words. No, with actions. There are actions and at the end you fall down on the ground. But it was only as an adult I discovered that it was about the plague. Ring a ring of roses, I think the plague, you got this kind of round ring of marks on you when you had the plague. Ring a ring of roses, a pocket full of posies. So posies is flowers. And they thought that by having flowers near the person who was suffering, it would cure them. A tissue, that's when you get sick. All fall down is when everyone dies. I have seen the Dead Poets Society 26 times. Is that all? Just 26? What? You don't like it or what? So that's Bonfire Night. For what it's worth. I'll get rid of those and probably someone will say, oh, could I just see that thing again? That's for some reason my email. What else did I want to show you? The group. So Vespina is the contributor for this week. I have this thing about not, for example, finding a purpose in life, not hesitating on whether I should have this as my mission or this, but having the choice rather, am I going to have a mission or no mission? And I've decided to have a mission. And this is how I look at it. I don't look on this as whether I got 1, 10 or 100 contributions. I look on it as, did I get no contributions or more than none? I've got more than none. Yes, that's so cool. Dead Poets Society was great, said Thomas. Named Der Club der Totendichter in German. Der Club der Totendichter. Okay, I'm guessing. I guess what that means. Oh, I've got to see it again. I haven't seen it for maybe decades. Such a wonderful film. So here's Despina's contribution. I must admit, I threw this in at the last minute, so I'll make this carry on. Magic Key, maybe I'll add another one about fireworks for the theme for this week. I thought of Magic Key because of this image, which inspired a poem, which I've read somewhere else already this week, but I don't think I've read it in last week's poetry group, so I'll read it again. A poem that came from this, and Vespina wrote, Magic Key is here with me, in my heart abides, and the globe unites. If you want to go for a 4-line poem, then feel free. Now. 4-line poem or a haiku, like with just a little da 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 da. What is it? Is it, how many syllables is it officially? I think there are different versions. I think it can be da 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 da. Or maybe it's da 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 da. I'm not sure if it's 575, 353, but it's one of those mini. It's not even a poem, it's just like an observation of life. So you could do one of those, or you could do a little 4-liner, with a couple of the lines rhyming, if you want to go that route. So thanks, Despina, and you've put it on top of a beautiful golden autumny scene as well. Very nice. Thanks for playing. You see, slowly we're getting more and more people to contribute, honestly, and even to watch. So let me ask you another question. So what about a favourite word? Favourite words of the week? I know that you do this, Despina, so I'm kind of stealing your idea. What would be a word which would symbolise this week and why? It's autumn week, it's election week in the States, it's bonfire night, as I just told you, Guy Fawkes night, fireworks night in Britain. There's quite a few themes there, isn't there? I should have put quite a few of those in there. Because it's election night yesterday, it was, and now it is as well. I remember that I had done a poem on elections, and I looked for it in my poetry back catalogue, and I found it. I think I found it down here in 2000, with 57 poems written in the year 2000. So this is 20 years ago, which is pretty, well, it is what it is. But it's so strange to look back 20 years and to see what was coming out of my head 20 years ago. It's, I don't know, do you do this? I mean, when did you write your first poem? Please, contribute in the chat. If you're watching on the replay, fantastic, that's great. Thanks for watching. And you can also contribute. So when was your first bit of writing? Can you remember? Was it as a kid? Would you consider, something you wrote as an 8-year-old, your first writing, or do you consider your first real writing, maybe your first serious poem or a short story, or as a student? When do you consider was your first thing that you would show people as look, this is what I did, this is my first thing? I go back to being a kid. In fact, there's a couple of things somewhere as a kid which I haven't put anywhere. I think a poem, an epic poem actually. There was one when I was a student. I think I was about 18, and I wrote a poem called Music. And I've still got the scrap of paper that it's on, but for some reason I haven't put it on this site, mysticrhythms.com yet. It should be number 1, the first poem ever, except for this other thing as a kid. But for some reason I'm kind of hanging on to it, there's something about it. And so anyway, I was looking back 20 years. I'd choose the word fire for today. I see. I wonder why you would choose fire. Would you write a poem around that, or write a little text around it? Maybe I should give words as the prompt. Maybe I should just wake people up and remind them that the group exists. So I'm gonna read you a poem from 20 years ago, and strangely, it's called Election. And it was actually about the French election, I think. I'm a bit confused because I wrote it in 2000. And it says La France Présidente Ségolène Royal, and it was when, I'm confused. Was it when? I'm confused, but I think it was Ségolène Royal running against, was it Sarkozy or something like that? But I thought that was later. Anyway, here's the poem. See if you can recognise me. If you know my later stuff, my recent stuff, see if you can recognise me in this. I don't know how it's going to go. I'm rediscovering it with you, which is actually really strange and almost scary. Almost scary. It's election. I don't even know if it rhymes or anything. What's it called? Election night. It's election week, and for many days now, the hopeful candidates have been making signs, using modern technology, sending out messages along the cutting wires, quoting undeniable facts across oceans of bobbing heads and pleading for support. The circus is in town. It's election day, and the people are streaming to the polls as the hopeful make their last promises, update their manifestos and sell their souls for an X on a voting slip, and the children laugh at the clown. It's election night, and the results are almost in. The weary runners lay down their brightly coloured banners among the empty drinks cans and tattered "Vote for Me" flyers. The outcome doesn't look good. There's been a significant swing to the wrong, and the usually cheerful joker replaces his smile with a frown. Yeah, I'm not sure what that was about, but and it wasn't rhyming. Most of mine rhyme, so that wasn't really rhyming, was it? It's election week, it's election day, it's election night, playing with that idea. And I was talking about a joker in the last one, a clown in the middle one, and the circus. So there's a bit of a theme there. And yeah, so yeah, I should probably spend more time looking at it to try and see, you know, if I was trying to do anything a little bit. I think it was more profound than what I'm seeing here, but I can't remember. I first saw the first sonnet of Shakespeare in the English language school I went to. My teacher called Persephone. Teacher called Persephone. That's a beautiful name. I was going to say very sort of, sounds like something from Greek mythology, but probably was Greek. Your teacher had a Shakespeare sonnet on a board. Every time I stood there, I saw it and asked my teacher for the translation into Greek, because my English was elementary. Okay, so it was in English. 2 years later, I wrote my first poem in English. In Greek, I wrote my first love story at the age of 11. Wow. A little romantic Greek girl at the age of 11. How about that? And you say, I chose the word fire because it's bonfire night and I'm sitting near the fireplace. And I guess the world will be on fire if Mr. T gets elected. Well, you know, theoretically, if he gets elected, quite a few people will be happy about it. The people who voted for him. Yeah, I've been doing some. I don't know if I should do this because it's a bit political. I don't know if I should. But having said that, I've decided that I'm just going to do what I do, and this is nothing to do with anyone. Everyone has the right to believe what they want to believe, to follow who they want to follow. But people also have the right to say what they think, I think, if they don't like something or they think something is, you know, not right. As long as you're just saying it, this is what free speech is, isn't it? This is what writing is. If you can't write about anything, there are limits in our society about what you can write about. But they're, in Western society, at least they're pretty loose. You know, you can say some pretty, maybe horrible things, and you're still allowed to, in terms of free speech, as long as you're not, you know, really threatening someone or trying to kill them or something. You literally can almost say anything, and some people don't like that. But I've decided I don't want to be political in sort of the writing group, the photography group, not really. But having said that, if you're not showing yourself, if you're not showing who you are, well, you're not really being true to yourself. So I'm doing these things, but I'm not sort of shouting about them. I'm not, you know, I'm not a political person. It doesn't really interest me. I'd rather be a creative person. But having said that, stuff like Trump, I feel that situation isn't about politics. I feel it's about humanity. It's bigger than politics, you know. We can learn from what we've seen in the last 4 years. We can learn from it, like we can learn from anything. And that's why I'm looking at it as. Although having said that, I try to. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll show. If you want to go to my my profile, Facebook profile, you'll see the things I call them apparently, and I've done a couple. I'm doing a few on Trump at the moment. So you know, if you want to have a look at them, you can. But I won't say them here because there's no point. You know, if you like Trump or you like Biden, or you don't like Trump or you don't like Biden, I don't want that to be a reason for me not to, you know, have a nice relationship with you. Having said that, I don't imagine many of the people who I interact with. I mean, I imagine most of them will feel quite similar to me in the field that I'm in, you know, the sort of creative field, the not really hard-headed business field, more the humanistic field that I play in. I think most of the people I know probably feel the same as I do, you know, with varying degrees. Hello, Yeruska. Welcome from Peru to Peru. How are you doing today? Yeruska, is there a word? You're so poetic, Yeruska. Tu es très très poétique. Est-ce qu'il y a des mots qui viennent à ton esprit aujourd'hui avec l'élection aux États-Unis, l'automne, les photos que tu as prises récemment? Est-ce qu'il y a des mots qui viennent à ton esprit? Are there words that come to your mind? Even maybe something poetic. Thomas says, the first memory about writing is from my very early school days. A small essay, possibly the first I've ever written. Yeah, me too, actually. Exactly. I made a comparison with chairs that are stacked on a table so that they look like a pyramid. My teacher loved this a lot, so I still remember it here and now. That's a very important point. For me, it was just normal. Teachers' reactions to our first efforts are incredibly important. We can't overestimate how important they are, which is why I make a point of appreciating everybody's contribution, even as adults. Adults are just big kids, and they still want to be, patted on the head or appreciated. We all do. So I try to make a point of before anything, even before any useful criticism, useful advice, just appreciate the fact that someone has contributed something from their heart, from their soul. That's what we all want, we all need. There's no reason not to do it. And like you said, you remember the teacher who gave you your first positive reaction. Of course you do. Of course you do. And likewise, I remember, teachers who liked, certain things of mine. And also, maybe this is much more serious. I remember an art teacher who had a negative reaction to a creative effort of mine. It's another story for another time. It's one of my big stories, actually. An art teacher who had a negative reaction to something where I was trying to be creative, but I hadn't followed the rules. And that stuck with me for a long, long time. I mean, it's with me now. It's my number one story about this sort of point that I try to make about how you can kill creativity in kids if you're not careful. It's very, very fragile. It's a fragile flower. And to this day, I remember the story. To this day, if I tell the story, seriously, in depth, I can get very, very emotional about it still. It's quite incredible. It was no poem. Poems I almost never write. Some in my diary, one on a picture I have painted a long time ago, but not more. Maybe I should start with this. You could write simple poems, Thomas. Just a handful of words. It doesn't have to be complicated. Kirsten, who I think was a mutual friend, and she contributes to the Today's the Day group, to Infinite Creativity Now group with her amazing paintings. She puts words on her paintings. This is a great thing. This is really good. I kind of Thomas, your painting is almost on its way. Here, for example, hang on. I've started incorporating, or I'm continuing to incorporate words into my paintings, like that. And it's fun. And you can incorporate lines of a text that you have written or a favourite line. That's a really nice way to get words into an artistic thing. You have to paint them, or you can write them if you've got a nice pen. You'll find in the white one there are 3 words in the almost all white one as well, Thomas. So that poem, Election Night, reminded me of another one, because in it says, along the cutting wire, sending out messages along the cutting wires. And that reminded me of a poem called Love on a Wire. And I'd like to read it to you. I haven't read it for a long time. And I think I remember really liking it. Yeah, it's called Love on a Wire. And this is a picture painted by a Greek girl, my future ex-wife. I think it was painted in Paris, so it could have been painted in Greece. Maybe Paris, I think. And I wrote this poem called Love on a Wire. By the way, say hello if you've just joined. Thanks for joining. This is all about words. It's all about poetry, short stories, memes, anything that any words or writing that has hit you during the week. I still haven't got a book of the week. I'll probably grab one and see what I can do with that. So this one is called Love on a Wire, and I haven't read it for many, many years. My love is sneaky, creeps around. Hang on, let me tell you when I wrote it. Zip. I wrote it in 2001. How about that? 2001. Almost 20 years ago. Love on a Wire. My love is sneaky, creeps around. The number pad, her playing ground. She slips in through the thin card slot and speaks to me by wire. Never one to mess about, I track her down, I seek her out. No phone booth has not heard from me, but patience is required. Each time I cross a shady spot, some hidey hole in some grim plot, I spy the likely cabin, and I talk into the wire. I found my love in lonesome lands, on stormy nights in cities bland. A gyroscope she's spinning, but I stalk her like wildfire. My mission is to see her face, to tempt her from her secret place. A fateful date will come to pass. We'll meet up on high wire. Until that day, I'll seek the truth, this shadow man, her dogged sleuth. I'll scour the valleys daily, sending telecom desire. My love lies where the phone lines greet, the corner of some sodden street. But now and then I'm lucky, and we whisper over wire. This poem was about me. I think it was about me not living in the same country as my future ex-wife, and every time I saw a phone booth or a phone box, remember those? Public phone box, I'd slip in and imagine and speak to her or phone her, or imagine that she's inside the phone and I could speak to her through the phone box, that she was literally in the phone or something like that. Yeah. Each time I cross a shady spot, some hidey hole in some grim plot, I spy the likely cabin and I talk into the wire. That was in the old days, when the wires were a thing. When I grew up, the radio was called a wireless. My parents called it a wireless. So, it still had a wire to attach it to the wall, but the signal came through the air. But as I grew up, when I was growing up, there was still plenty of telephone boxes. Telephone boxes were definitely a thing for many, many years of my life. And it's funny that there aren't any telephone boxes anymore. They're a thing of the past. There's one in my town, in the little park of my town hall. Strangely enough, it's a red British classic telephone box, but obviously it doesn't work. Yeah, so that was another poem. I'll leave you with those two poems there. What else can I talk to you about? Let's see if anybody else has contributed anything on this thing. Now, we have had some writing. There's your comments. We have had some writing, and let me just have a look through here. So if you'd like to write something on the theme of Magic Key, you can. And I'll read you this poem, which goes with this picture, which I wrote last week. I'm very happy. I wrote 2 poems last week. Karen says, I came across this a moment ago and thought I'd share. Process saves us from the poverty of our intentions. I'm going to read it again, because reading it I didn't understand anything. Do you do that? If you read something, you don't understand what you're reading? Process saves us from the poverty of our intentions. Before I read what she says, that makes me think that if you've got a system, it'll actually get the stuff out of you which otherwise would just stay in you and you'd just be dreaming. And this is something that's really important to me. That's why I always talk about creativity and productivity. For me, creativity is having the great ideas and productivity is bringing them into reality. I know it's not quite that simple, but that's the way I look at it. Oh, hello, Dorothy. Romantic with telephone box. Yeah, it was very romantic. Very, very romantic, Wandering around the countryside. Not in the same country as my love. And every time I saw a phone box, thinking, then there, I could get closer to her. There she is, you know, on a street corner, there she is. So Karan says, this means something to me. Process saves us from the poverty of our intentions. This means something to me, as it's easy to think up things to do and intend to do them, only to have time get away from me without getting the project done. Having a set time to take action works well for me. Right. Christina says, I think this is self-depreciating saying. Let's see what she means by that. I much better prefer saying something like, just start. You never know what you achieve when you and the universe get into it. Yeah, well, you choose the one that you like best, right? But they're both about having some sort of system to get stuff out there. And this is, I'm getting more and more strict with myself in a way, and more focused. Because as time goes on, you realize you don't have that much time. Time's going on. You know, 5 years, it's 5 years since you were 5 years younger. And boom, where did those 5 years go? So I'm on a kind of a mission to produce like crazy and to get everybody around me to do that as well, if they want to. So this is becoming almost an obsession for me. That was my bonfire night thing. What else have we got that can get deleted? My creativity comes in the now, says Dorothy. So the answer of how I will be creative in the week when I am working with the house and garden gave me a problem until the thought came, I'm designing my garden and my house. That was a creative thought. So this is writing on the topic of creativity, which is great. I'm putting the flowers together and the weeds together, as the weeds are flowers in the wrong places. Isn't it a funny word, weeds, you know, weeds. It's as though they're, you know, it's like the Indian caste system. It's as though some plants are born inferior to others. That's the most ridiculous thing I can imagine. But we have our words, don't we? Weeds. Weeds are second-class plants to be got rid of. Not very nice, you know, unwanted. It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. You know, my favourite flowers of all, as I'm wandering around, probably, you know, not the flashy ones. It's when I come across a piece of grass, it could be somebody's lawn, it could be in a park, which is covered in dandelions and daisies. Big yellow splodges and little white ones with the little yellow bit in the middle. How beautiful is that? You know, you don't need anything more beautiful than that. Would you call them weeds? Probably not. They don't call them weeds because they're flowers, but you know, they're not, you wouldn't plant dandelions, would you? You wouldn't plant daisies in your garden. And yet there they are. And that's almost why I like them. It's why I like sparrows, you know, more than fancier birds. I love little sparrows because they're so cute, they're so innocent, they bounce along and they're almost there by default. And it's a shame actually, they're dying out in Britain because of, I don't know, changes in something or other. Changes in habitat, less places for them to live, I think. Yeah. So yeah, good for you, Dorothy. Mixing, if I get it right, you're mixing together flowers and weeds because you're not being, you know, plantist or weedist or whatever the word might be. So here I have to decide what tree to plant instead of some dead trees in the hedge. Yeah, I know there's lots of hedges that have a piece of hedge, boom, dies, and then you've got a hole. The answer or inspiration will come someday, then I'll feel creative. Good, nice reflections. Feel free to reflect on the creative process in this group. This is me saying for the second day in a row, another poem fell out of my head. And I was so happy. I was so happy that 2 poems came out of me. I don't know if I decided to do it and then they came, or if they came first and then I realised I had to do them. How does that work for you? Well, let's see what Despina says. My poem of the 5th of November isn't there. Could it be gone? Disappear forever? Did you refresh the page? I'm not sure. I'm going to refresh the page, but I thought I read a poem from you. I read a poem from you, maybe you weren't here. New weekly theme, magic key, this one. I read this one. I don't know about any others. Maybe it's lower down. Despina. Hello. Okay. So this is from Despina, who says, "It's the 5th of November. What happened? Do you remember? Guy and his gang in the room plotted to make the Parliament go boom. I love this festive plot where peeps get together and eat a lot." Ha! That's a fun little poem, Despina. It reminds me of some of my fun little poems. Sort of bordering on nonsense, but still fun. It's the 5th of November. What happened? Do you remember? Guy and his gang in the room plotted to make the Parliament go boom. I love this festive plot where peeps get together and eat a lot. Great! Wonderful. So there it is. You're a star. You are the star. Sometimes Thomas is the star. No, you're a star. Okay, I'll read you this one, shall I? So this was inspired by the locks. The locks underneath the wall on the banks of the River Seine, because they can't. It's not so easy for them to put their love locks on the bridges these days. They found some sort of wire under here. A wire again, you see. That's kind of the theme, isn't it? A wire. So it's locks on a wire. And this poem came out. You might have heard it if you watched the show on Sunday, I think it was. But you know, there it is. And I called it Bird Brains because the locks underneath the wall, tucked away underneath the wall, reminded me of the birds that make their nests underneath the wall. Sparrows, swifts, swallows, and starlings. Which is nice because they all begin with S. So let's see if you spot what I tried to do here. What words did I try to rhyme? Like starlings and swifts, swallows and sparrows, under dry stone eaves, nesting pointed as arrows. I'm gonna start again. To get the rhythm going, I have to get back into it, and I forget the rhythm that I had. Almost all my poems, you can read them, so they have a lovely rhythm. But the thing is, sometimes I forget what that rhythm is, and it just sounds a mess. Bird brains, like starlings and swifts, swallows and sparrows, under dry drab stone eaves, nestling pointed as arrows. Sharp sense-eyed reminders, these poignant remains, hold heartfelt rejoinders, leaves tumble like rain. There's a tumbling leaf at the bottom. In vain Paris promises, forever darlings give way to wry rifts, lovers' tiffs and sad snarlings. Wily weekends away, romance reeling in trysts, in the mists of sly time, slits on slim tattooed wrists. On the river leaves drift, giving lies to sweet dreams, twirling round dreary drains, desire rotting in reams, signs sealed and delivered, their loves are locked down, until spring thaws bring cold claws, doves wallow while drown. Then come green-clad Whoa, here we go. This is good. I love this because you can make it scan beautifully, but you have to remember how to do it. It goes, then come green-clad municipal workers with cutters who clinically clear cast away quayside clutter. It's harrowing work carting love off in barrows, harassed by grey ghosts and bombarded by sparrows. I love it. I love it. And as well as playing with the words, I'm not being too, kind to sort of lovers. It's bittersweet. It's a bittersweet feeling, People come, they have this romantic dream about Paris. They buy their little lock. Maybe they sit in the hotel room before walking along the Seine looking for a place to lock it. This can be a dream. It is a dream from people around the world. They say, I'm going to go to Paris, and we are going to go to Paris. Let's go to Paris and put our lock on next to the River Seine. And you look at these, and that is what these are. Every single one of these locks represents a couple who wanted to immortalize their love. It's very, very sweet and poignant. Having said that, every now and then, the town council gets sick of them and comes along with cutters and chops them down and melts them down, or throws them, I don't know, throws them somewhere. So, it's kind of a bittersweet thing. The love side is beautiful if it's a little bit corny, but still, let's not be cynical. It's a beautiful thing. And yet, it isn't necessarily going to last. They might come back in 20 years' time and their love lock ain't going to be there. Anyway. Okay. We are all stars in a vast sky. That's a beautiful thing to say, like fireworks on fireworks night. Yeah, we're all stars in a vast sky. Dorothy says, great to listen on how you read your poem. Well, I've got another one if you like, the one that I wrote before this. Despina says, do some shadow on that. Bittersweet lover thing. Do some shadow on that? What do you mean? Bittersweet lover thing. I do a lot of bittersweet stuff, to be honest. That's kind of the heart of my stuff, is poignancy, bittersweet stuff, irony. This is what drives me. I would very rarely do something that is 100% positive. But I wouldn't want to do something that's 100% negative either. There has to be this mixture. There has to be, the yin and the yang, if you want. There has to be this twist. It's like stories don't have happy endings, or the ups and downs, the vicissitudes of life. If you don't have that, then where is the interest? Would you go to see a film where everyone is happy from the beginning to the end? I don't think so. Which songs touch you the most? Which grab you by the throat? Is it the ones, don't worry, be happy? Or is it more like, a desperate love song, unrequited love song, and that leaves you with a lump in your throat? I'd suggest it's the second, the latter, to be honest. Shadow work. Hang on. Do some shadow. Shadow work. By the way, which day are you on in the quest? Well, which quest? Oh yeah, shadow work. Yeah, yeah. I don't know where I'm going with these things. I'm above and beyond it. I don't mean that in a superior way. I've decided before anything, I'm just me here, being me. Then I can do a course which talks about shadow work, or about different levels or dimensions of consciousness, or blah blah see, blah blah sa, do, and I love it. I love these investigations. I love these philosophical, spiritual investigations. Otherwise, that's one of the joys of playing with words. But I have reached a point where I don't want to attach myself to any extremely sophisticated or half-baked theory on who we are, why we are, what we are, when we are. I have decided to enjoy those because it's fun. It's just fun. Investigating who we are, what the hell's going on, maybe. But above and beyond that, we've got to be happy here and now, because that's the only thing that's certain. All these other things, they're just new labels, to new flagpoles to attach your flag to. What's the word? To nail your something to the mast. You can if you want, but why do that? Why have anything that you believe in? Why believe in anything? I don't believe in anything. I've decided not to believe in anything. It's just too dangerous. It's too limiting. You might say, so you believe in nothing. So you believe in nothing. So you believe in nothing. But no, that's not what I mean. It's that I don't believe in anything. There's nothing that I would say that's my favourite theory. That's the philosophy I'm basing my life on. And most people have one, to be honest, it seems to me. Even if it's atheism, even if it's whatever, some philosopher that's got nothing to do with religion, Stoicism, Buddhism, or a classic religion. Most people have one. Should I believe in being nice to other people? I can think that's a good thing, but it doesn't mean I believe in it. It's not a religion. I'm not worshipping it. So I've I'm trying to get rid of the word believe. I think it's very dangerous. I'm using the word think more than believe now. So with my little philosophy on life, I try to help people to be as creative as they can, as they would love to be. So I'm not imposing, you know. If someone doesn't want to be creative, well, they don't have to be. But I'm devoting my life to helping others be as creative as they would love to be. And the question is why? You know, what is my reason for that? What meaning do I think that has to do that? And I used to say I believe that creating things regularly, creating and sharing things regularly, is a wonderful way to lead a worthwhile, generous, and what was it? Worthwhile, enlightening? No, not enlightening. Worthwhile, something life. And now I don't use the word believe normally. I now say it because I think that creating and sharing things on a regular basis is a wonderful way to lead a worthwhile, enriching and generous life. So I've changed belief for think. Even though you could say that thoughts are, well, you could have all sorts of theories on thoughts, couldn't you? And plenty of people do, and I won't go into that. But there's something that it feels a bit better for me to say I think rather than I believe. You know, and within this kind of acceptance of me just being me, apparently doing whatever I do, I can then play with anything I like without any sort of needing to, you know, acknowledge anyone or blah blah blah. So, you know, that's just what I kind of do. And yeah, behind that I have things which I think seem to be pretty good ideas, like trying to be nice to people and be generous if you can, and, or, you know, whatever. But then there are plenty of times when I'm a complete arsehole as well. So, you know, there's no preaching there from I don't think there's any preaching there from my side. Sabism. Yeah, Sabism. Well, that's it. You see, that is exactly it. I practice Sabism. And even that, Sab doesn't mean anything. Your name doesn't mean anything. It's just invented hot air. And yet it's the game we play here, isn't it? We play this game of being us. We don't always realise that it is a game. We often go through our lives thinking it's not a game. This is serious. This is serious. But whether you think it's serious or not, you could still think that it's also just a game. And then you might ask, what are the rules of the game? How do you win? How do you win this game called life? If it's a game, you know, smart ass, clever dick. If it's a game, how do you win? Because normally you win, don't you? But then I think a nicer way of looking at it is, it's like the Olympics. You know that it's such a joke these days, but the Olympic motto is something along the lines of, it's not the winning that counts, it's the taking part. Yeah, right, sure. But it's a nice idea. And I think the game of life should be like that. We should be enjoying taking part. And the winning is a personal thing. The winning is if at the end of your life you can say, that was fun. That's winning. But you can win every day as well. You know, you can win at the end of every day if you say, well, that day was fun. Well, that week was fun. Well, that month was fun. Well, that year was fun. That means you've got opportunities to be winning continually, you know, minute after minute. You could say that minute was fun. You'd waste a lot of time if you did that every minute. But you see what I mean? That's why I created the Today's the Day group, so that every day you can say, well, that day was fun. And another poem fell out of me. Thanks for contributing, by the way, everyone. Yeah, Sabism and Despina, you follow perhaps the ages-old philosophy of Thespianism. Thomasism? Dorothyism? Why not? Why not? What else is there? I don't like the idea of life as a game, but if you ask me, I don't know what it is. You don't like the idea of life as a game. How do you see life? Do you see it in some way at all or not? This is the last poem I'll share with you. It's almost an hour. How about that? Thanks for being here, by the way. It's really nice. You know, we're a small group. I'm hoping that later on we'll have more and more people. And but you know, I'm enjoying this. This has been a fantastic hour. And if you want tomorrow, you can actually come on a Zoom call live with me and say what you're pleased with doing this week. That's in the spirit of what I've just been talking about. A live Zoom, you show your face and you say, you know, you can come and go if you like. You can just pop in and say, I just wanted to share that this week I'm really happy that on Wednesday I did this. You know, I didn't think I could or that I would, but I did. So I'm really pleased about that. So that's tomorrow. Tomorrow I think it's going to be at 9 o'clock in the evening, French time, like this. And yeah, I wanted to share the other poem that fell out of me. Hang on. Yeah, this is my writing from this week. As you can see, the last two were the ones that the poems came from. And the writing looks like that. This chapter. This is the one that I'm going to read. Je t'aime, Clémentine. I love you, Clémentine. Despina, yeah, you've heard this one. You heard this one before. And these are the 5 from this week so far. So with those 2 poems from the last chapter and these first 5, that's a week. That's a week of writing. I think I did a big sort of thing on Trump. I won't say political because, as I said earlier, for me Trump isn't about politics. It's about ego and where the human race is at the moment. I think that's what we can use. We can glean usefully from Trump being president of the United States is a deep dive into humanity itself. It's not really got much to do with politics. And maybe politics as a pure concept isn't a thing. Maybe it's long gone. You know, maybe it is just all about personalities, the cult of personality, which I write about in one of these. Okay, so this, Dorothy says, it depends on why you are here. Some people are here to live a life. That is a game. Yeah, well, I mean, maybe there isn't an overall answer for everybody. Maybe there's just an individual answer. So, you know, I couldn't pretend to give an answer for anyone except me. And your answer for you, how you see life, if you have come to see life in a way that pleases you, that allows you to enjoy your life, then that is the right answer. It can't be anything else, you know. So it's interesting it would be interesting to know if you have found that. Actually, it's more a discussion for Sunday evening in the Sabsang, but in writing and in photography you can discuss anything. That's why I love these 2 things. In photography, you can get into the art of photography, but you can also point your lens at anything, and what you're seeing is you kind of being reflected back at you. Exactly the same with words. You can point your pen at absolutely anything, and what comes out onto the page, onto the screen, is a pure reflection of you. You know, it's you on that paper, you and what you have experienced coming out in a new form. So that's why I love these two ways of expressing ourselves: visual and written. I think they're wonderful. Some people are here to live a life that is a game. Yeah, well, and they're all just words. If I say life's a game, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. It's just something that came out of my mouth. It doesn't mean that I've suddenly proclaimed that life is a game for everyone, blah, blah, blah. Because what is a game anyway? Games have rules. Games, you're supposed to do certain things. You can normally win or lose. Maybe you don't want to see your life like that. Maybe that's a terrible way to see your life. Doesn't, you know, it's whatever it is. I don't know what life is for me, says Despina, but I don't like to see it as a game. Do I really have to give it a name or a label? Well, do you? I think I just said that I don't think you do. I might have an answer for you tomorrow. Nothing. You don't have to do anything. Some people want to, some people don't. Some people want to live their lives doing absolutely things which everyone around them is doing, and they feel perfectly fine about that. Others don't feel so fine about that. Others feel that there's something wrong. I won't say missing, because if people are leading their lives, if they, I often think about this, the person who was born, grew up, got a job, married the girl or the boy from across the street, had their kids, got their house, worked well, worked hard, retired, etc. I often think that many of those people are far happier or content in their lives than I am. So there's absolutely no judgment whatsoever. How could I judge anyone else? That, you can't say what somebody else's life should be. It's impossible. It's not a thing. So there's that, and it's fun to discuss it though. There's fun to discuss it. I might suggest life is like a game, or it's a fun way to see life as a game. Other people might say I don't like to see life as a game. I see it more as a play or a job. But in the end, all of these are just mirages. Saying that life's a game or a job or a pain or whatever you like, or war, businesses like war. These are all just made up. They're all made up. It's up to us in the end to find, if we want to find some meaning in our lives. Some people don't. They're not interested, or it hasn't occurred to them. Other people, they spend their entire lives desperately striving, searching for meaning, or the purpose, or the person who is out there. They spend their entire lives looking for this. Even some of the most so-called spiritual people, Can you imagine sitting in a mountain cave or something for 7 years? Couldn't there be a better way of spending your life than doing that? Waiting for what? Waiting for, I don't know. It seems like there's a fundamental problem there. If that's how are they enjoying every one of those days of the 7 years? Are they having fun? Or are they hoping that fun is at the end of the 7 years? Because if it's the latter, that isn't the way I would like to lead my life. I want fun now, right now. And I recommend you do too, but that's just me. Okay, so answers on a postcard. What is life for you? We can talk about it on Sunday, if you like. I didn't read you my last poem, and I haven't read you any of this stuff here. But you can read that in your own time if you follow me on. I publish every day. It's there. I'd love it if you read it. And this was from this photograph. I'll leave you with this. This enigmatic "I love you, Clémentine." Je t'aime, Clémentine. So it's in French, so it's even more romantic. And I just had to ask myself, who the hell is Clémentine? There was a song, a really well-known song by Smokey from the 1970s. And they did this song called "Living Next Door to Alice." Living next door to Alice. And it was some guy who, in the song, he lived next door to Alice for all his life, and he never was able to tell her that he loved her, or something like that. And in the live version of the song, there's a live version on the internet. It's a beautiful song. Living next door to Alice. It's sort of heartbreaking and stuff. But the crowd have decided that if you listen to it, you'll find it. At the end of this line, softly sung, beautifully sung, 24 years living next door to Alice. And the crowd go, "Alice? Who the fuck is Alice?" It's really funny. So it's good. 24 years waiting for a sign. 24 years just to make you mine. 'Cause for 25 years I've been living next door to Alice. Alice? Who the fuck is Alice? It's funny. Anyway, here's the poem. Heartfelt. I love you, Clementine. My heart crawls up your wall. But your windows are barred and your bike's locked tight. You don't see me at all. If I cover this city in red flowers pretty, scrawling out your name, will you open your door to dim down the uproar and tame your eyes in mine. I've forgotten the rhythm. What do we got here? Je suis Clémentine avec ma vélo rose. Ah, Clémentine, avec ton vélo rose. Ah, oui, oui, oui. Ah, I should translate this into French and into Spanish. Castellano. Yeah, Yaruska. So there it is. It doesn't say Je t'aime Yaruska, but you know, it could. Heartfelt. I'll read it once more. I love you, Clementine. My heart crawls up your wall. But your windows are barred and your bike's locked tight. You don't see me at all. If I cover this city in red flowers pretty, scrawling out your name, will you open your door to dim down the uproar and tame your eyes in mine? So that's it for tonight. And in terms of a theme, well, I put magic key. We could have election something. Maybe that's a bit too political. We could have bonfire night. Maybe bonfire. That could be very symbolic, couldn't it? Bonfire night, fireworks, something like that. So I'll see what I think of, and maybe I'll just leave the magic key, or I'll put something else there as well. Okay, everyone, that's it. Thanks a lot for watching. It's been an hour of chit chat, an hour of poetry, of writing, of discussion, of philosophy, deep and meaningful claptrap, which is pretty much what I do every time I go live. Thanks for being with me. Thanks for being part of my creative universe and for letting me be part of yours. And you know where to find me. I won't go into any details on all that stuff, but do be part of my creative universe if you can. And I look forward to talking to you again, possibly tomorrow. If you do a Today's the Day in the Today's the Day group by tomorrow, I'll talk about it. And if you want to come live with me on Zoom tomorrow as well, then you can, and say what you're happy about, what you've done this week that you're happy about. That's it for now from me, Sab in Paris, and Dorothy says smile. Despina says good night. Thomas says thank you, Sab. Thank you all. BB. Bye bye for now. Ciao, ciao.